Right. After the shootings of leader Hortman along with Senator Hoffman, congressional members in Capitol Hill say it's time to increase security. Capitol Police today briefed senators on the alarming trend in political violence, and they say there were nearly 10,000 concerning statements or threat against members of Congress last year. Members on both sides of the aisle are calling for security spending increases.
We ought to be spending some more dollars here to protect the Capitol, the senators, and their staffs.
Even with all the good Capitol Hill police and the Metro police that do a good job, you just can't oversee this many people.
Increasing security for every member of Congress at the Capitol and at home would come with a pretty big price tag, but after hearing about the dramatic increase in threats, many are now saying it's time, it's necessary. All right, in Ukraine, search and rescue teams are digging through the rubble of the apartment building there in Kyiv after a night of heavy attacks by Russia. Rescue crews, they've recovered the bodies today, at least 15 dead, more than 130 injured. Kyiv officials say Russia fired more than 440 drones and 32 missiles at Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky says it was one of the most terrifying strikes on the capital. Kyiv's mayor announced an official day of mourning for Wednesday. Okay, to the Middle East now, and a flurry of social media posts from President Trump today, and many are now wondering whether the president is trying to telegraph the U.S. joining Israel in striking Iran. He urged Iran today to unconditionally surrender. As Rebecca Castor tells us, the president abruptly left the G7 summit this morning in Canada to meet with his national security team in Washington.
Fighter jets taking off to deliver more airstrikes to Iran as Israel continues its relentless campaign to take out their nuclear sites.
They're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump is clear on that, but he now has to decide if the U.S. should help Israel finish the job. The Pentagon is moving military assets to the Middle East to be on standby for any defensive or offensive action.
We've had this on our target list for years, so our people, our intelligence people, and our air power people know exactly what they're doing if the president makes the decision.
President Trump posted online, "We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran, and that the supreme leader is an easy target, but is safe for now." Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, even Republicans are divided over how involved the U.S. should get.
If the president determines that to end this once and for all, a preemptive strike on Fordo and with bunker bombs, I'd be very supportive of that.
I'm hoping the president will not get involved with the war. I think if the United States actively bombs Tehran, the possibility of negotiation goes out the window.
Iran's military is warning civilians to evacuate Haifa and Tel Aviv immediately. But for now, the State Department would not confirm if it's helping Americans get out of Israel. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
All right, I want to start your national headlines tonight with Mike Lindell. Of course, he's the founder of MyPillow, and he's been found guilty now of defamation and has to pay $2.3 million in damages. Lindell had accused a Dominion voting system staffer of stealing the 2020 election and calling him a traitor. Now, the staffer in question had previously worked for Lindell. He said his career and life were destroyed by Lindell's claims. Lindell says he will appeal. Well, today, former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez is beginning his 11-year sentence in federal prison. Menendez was convicted for accepting bribes of gold and cash, as well as acting as an agent of Egypt. Menendez's lawyers say that he's expected to stay at a facility in eastern Pennsylvania. His wife, too, was also convicted, you may remember, and she will be sentenced coming up in September. Okay, food giant Kraft Heinz will remove all artificial colors from its brands by 2027. The maker of Kraft Mac and Cheese, Heinz Ketchup, Jell-O, Capri Sun, and other brands also said it will not release any new U.S. foods with artificial dyes. The change comes as synthetic food dyes are facing renewed scrutiny from consumers and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy. Okay.